Hello folks, this episode may contain adult themes and swear words, mainly because I can't be asked to edit them out anymore. Enjoy.
Hello and welcome to the final episode of our Lions Tour special. Actually, the final episode of season 1. Just want to take the opportunity to say thank you very much for taking your time to listen to us talk about rugby over the last kind of year. I think it's a year, or should we just say episodes? We've really enjoyed ourselves, and yes, we are going to be back for season 2 at the start of the Premiership. So we're going to take a couple of weeks off. The plan is to return maybe a week or 2 weeks before, like I said, the start of the Premiership. Maybe give a little insight into the upcoming season, or our thoughts around it anyway. They're probably not that accurate, to be fair. And yeah, so that's where we're at. Ollie's going to be here in just a second, and we are going to talk about the ultimate final test between South Africa and the British and Irish Lions. Now the end is near. We something, the final curtain. Hello, mate. How are you?
Hello, mate. I'm very good. Nice little intro sing-song there, mate. How are you? You sound very jolly.
Well, you know, it's the last episode of our first season of doing the podcast.
You're happy because we're going to take a break, mate. You're happy.
I'm happy because regrets we have a few, mainly to do with the technical side of this sham of a show. But yeah, no, I'm glad, you know, the season's over. I'm looking forward to the start of the next season, and just kind of pushing forward with the podcast.
Yeah, indeed, mate. And yeah, we've had some tech issues, mate, but none of us proclaim to be tech experts, and we're not professional. We're professional amateurs, aren't we? So
amateurly professional, I'd say.
It's all a bit of fun, isn't it? It's all a bit of fun.
Absolutely. And obviously, our good technical advisor, Brutal Bob, yeah, he sorts stuff out sometimes.
He does. He's done a cracking job. Lucky we got him, actually, isn't it?
Yeah, he's very cheap, isn't he?
A great price. I was going to say it, a great price, man.
Bag of crisps and a shandy, and he's anybody. So yeah, obviously the end of the season, mate. There's a lot to chat about with the Lions. But let's just tap up a little bit of news. Have you got any news, any rumours you might want to share?
I don't think it's been a hell of a lot, mate. I've heard a couple of transfer, not rumours, but I think confirmation of rumours and or sort of known transfers. Things we've mentioned already, most of them. Yeah, I think the only one that really stands out as a potential and is a so-called rumour at the moment, there's nothing confirmed, but Richard Cockrell, apparently, who obviously has recently left Edinburgh, is apparently being touted up by Eddie Jones to be part of the England coaching setup. So that's an interesting one, depending on whether there is any truth in it and whether it actually comes to fruition or not.
So you're saying probably one of the most aggressive people on the planet in his time as a Tigers player and as a Tigers coach is going to be joining the England setup moving forward.
Well, potentially, if the rumor is right, mate. So
that is a rumor.
It is, isn't it? Like I don't.
What can you imagine? Like the managerial or coaching staff team talk between Eddie Jones and Richard Cockrell.
I know. It's two pretty big characters there, isn't it? But I mean, I'm not exactly sure how I feel about that one because I've got had sort of well, you probably know my views on Richard Cockrell.
Yeah, you don't like him.
I wouldn't say I don't like him. That's a bit harsh, mate. But
you fucking hate him.
Well, as a player, he was very much crossed the line a few times, didn't he? But I suppose in the old days, in the old game, get away with that a bit more. You wouldn't get away with half of it these days. But
oh my god, no, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's interesting in as much as a lot of people say about Eddie Jones being a bit sort of authoritarian, or bit of a dictator role, isn't it, in the way he runs things? So potentially, certainly in the last few years, has picked members of his coaching team with, could we say, not the strongest of personalities, so they're not going to challenge him. So that definitely goes against that, doesn't it? Because Cockrell won't pull any punches, that's for sure. So
oh my God, no, Cockrell will definitely speak his mind, and maybe that's what Eddie Jones wants.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? I mean, it could be only if I would imagine. I don't know what his exact position be. I imagine be very forward orientating in what his involvement would be in the coaching setup, I would have thought. So yeah, I mean, it's good. I just be interesting to see how it goes, mate. Be interesting to see what happens.
Absolutely, mate. I think that would be. I mean,
You're loving it. You're loving it because he's ex-Tiger. Yeah, I get it.
Well, yeah. I mean, I absolutely love Richard Cockrell. I think he's fucking brilliant. I think he's absolutely great value for money. One of the characters in the game.
So really, you want Eddie out. You want Borthwick to go in as the main man. Cockrell to come in. What, Jordan Murphy maybe as backs coach,
and Andy Good as kicking coach. Yeah.
Andy Good on nutrition and fitness maybe.
Why not? It'd be good. No, I mean that. Yeah, I'm not. I do like Richard Cockrell, obviously being a Leicester Tigers fan. But if hand on heart, I'm not even sure how that's going to pan out. So
what I would say, as far as his coaching, I know it didn't go to plan at Tigers in his first sort of head coach role, but he's done very well at Edinburgh, to be fair. Especially,
mate, he did win a few titles with the Tigers.
Exactly, and they're not, sort of money and financial backing and budget. They're not the biggest of clubs in Europe. So with all that taken into account, he's done. I think he's done a fantastic job there. So. Yeah, it'd be interesting, mate. It'd be interesting.
Yeah. So there is a little bit of other news just on the Tigers. George Worth has been released from his contract with the Tigers.
Sorry, I'm just dropping off to sleep.
Yep. Harlequins have signed the Scotland international forward Tulani. He looks quite meaty.
Yeah, I saw that one. That looks good, mate.
Yeah, so that looks strengthening their back row. I think he's a back row player. All Blacks. I know we're not. All Blacks took the opening Bledisloe Cup game against the Wallabies, 33-25. So a relatively close encounter, really. But I'm not that interested about it, if I'm honest. Only when South Africa play and get pumped. Hopefully. What else was there, Oliver? I think that's about it. Really, let's just get down to it. Okay, the Lions, the final test, 1-1 in the series, going into the final game at Cape Town last Saturday. Interesting selection choices from Gatland. Definitely looking to play more, I guess. I guess I got 3 questions for you. Is that okay?
Yep.
Okay, first question. Did the Lions lose that game or did South Africa win that game?
Can I sort of sit on the fence, say a bit of both?
You can phone a friend if you want, but you're only friends me.
A little bit of both, but I would say actually more the Lions lost it than South Africa won it. Yep.
Yeah, I'd agree with that one. I didn't think South Africa played particularly well, but
the big but to that. Well, unless you want to finish your second couple of questions.
Oh no, yeah, my second question.
I might. What's the word? Be answering something in your second question. Carry on with the questions, Gareth.
Thank you very much. My second question is Gatland for head coach in the for the tour to Australia.
The next Lions tour.
Yeah. No, he shouldn't, or
no, he shouldn't. It should be someone else.
Yeah, I agree with that one.
Well, are people suggesting he should be? Or?
Well, I think from what I've heard that they want to tie him down, potentially tie him down quite quickly. Tie down his commitment to the tour. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how you feel. I think Gatlin is a fantastic coach, and possibly up there, if not better than Sir Ian McGeechan in terms of Lions for what he's achieved and what he does.
No. I think it's okay to say up there with Ian McGeechan, not better, Gareth. That's taking it a little bit too far.
Okay, no problem. Yes, because Sir Ian McGeechan is a sir, and obviously,
Yeah,
he's not.
He is just Lions. He's got Lions running through his blood, mate. So
yeah, no. All right, fair play. So I think having done the last, well, he's three tours as head coach, one tour as forwards coach. I think with Sir Ian, I think it's time for a bit of fresh blood.
Yeah, agreed.
I'm not 100% sure who I would want to see. I know who I wouldn't want to see. I don't think Eddie Jones would be the right man, if I'm honest.
Well, I agree and disagree personally because I think he could do the job. Definitely got the obviously the experience and credentials, but I personally I think we need to go back to. I think the Lions, especially after this tour, needs a bit of brand strengthening, if you know what I mean, as to get back to what the Lions is all about, sort of thing. And personally, I think it needs a British Isles coach, as in not a Southern Hemisphere coach. That's just personal opinion.
Mate, I would agree with that one. I would like to see that for the Australia tour, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I totally accept in the international arena, international game that you get foreign coaches, but that is essentially it's the professional game, isn't it? And I know these are professional players, but it's still the British Lions is still an amateur concept, isn't it? So you have to have that, essentially what the tradition and the history of the Lions and what that's all about, isn't it? And although Gatlin's done a fantastic job and he's really bought into that, if you're not from the British Isles, then you can't genuinely have that, like I say, like Ian McGeechan in your blood, can you? So yeah, that's just personal preference, personal point of view. But
no, I think that's a fair. Yeah, I think that's just fair. That's a fair analogy, mate. I completely get where you're coming from. So
don't follow that up with who then.
Well, yes. Who would you consider would be good?
Hey, in all honesty, I've kind of ignored a lot of. There's been so much, like almost immediately after the end of the third test, there's people talking about what the next Lions squad's going to be and all that. And I just got zero interest in that because it's absolutely irrelevant talk, isn't it? Because it's pointless trying to predict and do that sort of thing because so much. We're talking 4 years, aren't we?
Yeah, mate.
So much can happen in one season, let alone 4 years. But
yeah, absolutely. But I'm not saying who. I've seen things.
Squad coaching's a bit different.
Coaching's a bit different. I just wondered who you thought, could be a good shout.
I don't know because actually, I think obviously your head coach is important with the Lions, but it's your coaching group that is the most important, isn't it? But there's quite a few possibles, isn't there? But out of the existing Lions group, I would say potentially Townsend could step up as the main man.
Mm-hmm.
He's obviously done and doing a great job with Scotland internationally, and I think he had a good impact on this, although he was probably restricted in as much as he would have liked to have done with this group and on this tour. But I think he's had a good impact, I would say. But and because I just like the brand of rugby that Townsend applies to his groups, and I think we need more of that in the game, especially after the dull 3 tests that we that we witnessed. He's very much into good sort of fast running open rugby, isn't he? So yeah, so that would be, if you wanted me to sort of name someone right this minute, that's probably who I would say in my mind is lead candidate. Other people, people have mentioned Andy Farrell, and then you've got a whole host of top coaches who are in and around, isn't it? There's Mark McCall potentially, Rob Baxter. Go through the Premiership guys, and there's plenty of coaches there who could put their hand up for it, isn't it? So,
yep.
But Townsend, I would say would be, calling me out on it now is my lead candidate right at this minute. But as I say, a lot can change over the next few seasons. But what about yourself, Richard Cockrell?
No, I actually think Ronan O'Gara.
Yeah, good shout.
Yeah, I think Ronan O'Gara as the head coach, and obviously with his disciples underneath him, I think that would be a really interesting. I just like Ronan O'Gara. I just think he's.
I do. The only thing I would say, I very much agree. I very much like Ronan O'Gara, and I think he's going a long way in the coaching game. But he hasn't had the international coaching experience yet. Is the only cross against his name, I would say. Whereas Townsend has, obviously, hasn't he? So it'd be nice to see him get some international. Generally speaking, your Lions coach has had several years of international coaching before stepping up to the Lions, isn't it?
Yeah, true. But you never know.
But yeah, no, I can see it, especially if you've got a fantastic group with him, isn't it? Especially, if you could bring back like Borthwick and because I think he did a fantastic job with England and with the Lions, didn't he?
Yeah.
Players of that, coaches of that caliber in his coaching group, his team. Then I could see that working.
Yeah, I think it's just. I think. I guess my point was that I think there needs to be a bit of a change now, a bit of a freshen up. Moving forward, and I think. I also heard that there was talk that, they could, to make the midweek games more interesting, there might be games against like the Pacific Island teams, like your Tongans, your Fijis, and, things like that. So I think it's just a bit of a freshen up of the whole tour in general is probably what's required, starting with the head coach.
Yeah, I don't really know how I feel about that either, mate. I mean, it would be nice to include maybe some international competition as well, but I mean, to be fair, I think the argument against that is because of the weak pre-test competition that the Lions had on this tour. But I think this tour, I know generally the South African tend to be probably weaker out of the three Southern Hemisphere pre-test opposition, but it's massively been amplified because of COVID and the fact that all the internationals are in the South African
bubble.
Squad bubble and can't go and play, which normally you would see your test guys playing for their clubs against the Lions in the weeks running up, isn't it? Which massively strengthens the opposition just naturally, doesn't it? So personally, I think that's the main cause of that issue in this tour. But and then you look at the last tour in New Zealand and the Lions lost a couple of the warm-up games, didn't they?
Yeah.
So and some of the, although Australia is not in the strongest position as a game of rugby at the moment over there, but sort of traditionally, historically, some of their sort of Super 14 sides are strong, aren't they? And perfectly capable of giving the Lions a good run out, aren't they? So.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, mate. If you heard a bang then, I've just knocked my speaker over. So
that's all right, mate. It wasn't too bad.
Good.
But yeah, no, I don't agree with a swap, but maybe a bit of a mix would be good.
Sorry, bear with me a second. I think I'm going to sneeze. No, I'm not. Okay, I'm having a bit of a day, mate.
You are, aren't you?
Okay, so let's just get down to business now. Let's talk about the final test. And I just want to go through some statistics from the game. Okay.
God. Yeah.
So Lions made 253 meters, 19 kicks from hand, 119 passes, and 108 runs. South Africa made 210 meters, 20 from kicks from hand, 55 passes, 62 from runs. Lions attacking possession, 63%. Territorial possession, I think, was around the same mark. Territory in the first half for the Lions was 74-26. A little bit better in the second half, 53-47. Rucks won. Lions were 96%. South Africa 93%. Pretty similar on mauls. Turnovers conceded, 10 to the Lions, 9 to the box. Scrums won. Lions 4 out of 7, 5 out of 6 for the box. Line outs for the Lions, 11 out of 12, box 9 out of 11. And then penalties, 15-12. Lions had the higher penalty count. And I guess my question is, how did we lose?
There's a lot of
statistics, we should have won that game, really, shouldn't we? Do you think it's a game that is going to stick on their throats? It's definitely one that they should have won, realistically?
Yeah. I mean, overall, yes, I think it will hurt, because it's definitely a game that they probably should have and could have won. And for me, I think they really they lost it in the first half. Just, you look at some of those figures you just shouted out there, but the dominance in the first half wasn't reciprocated in the score, was it? So
yeah,
in the halftime scoreline. So yeah, that was for me. And I mean, you look at obvious things, as in not taking kicks at goal, penalty kicks at goal, when potentially they could have, especially when you're ending up with only a 3-point loss.
Well, we gave up 6 points, didn't we?
Yeah, I think it was 9, wasn't it?
No, I think you're right. It was 9.
But yeah,
hindsight's a great thing, isn't it?
It is. But I don't know. It's just one of those, isn't it? At the end of the day, you've got the argument. Obviously, Dan Biggar massively threw out the game plans of both sides, because Dan Biggar went off after basically 10 minutes, wasn't it? And Finn Russell came on with a smile on his face, which I absolutely loved. But that changed literally the whole game and the game plans for both, not just the British Lions, but also South Africa, isn't it? And just basically threw everything out of the window. So the argument you could have to that is if Biggar didn't go off, then with how well, because let's just point that out, Finn Russell had an outstanding game.
Absolutely, mate. He was a massive difference. You could see it.
Yeah, and for me anyway. I mean, for me, that's the best all-round game that I've ever seen Finn Russell play. I'm not saying I've watched every single game that he's played, but the games I've watched him play, certainly at international standard, that is by far the best all-round performance, because he, we all know the bags of skill that he's got and the little tricks he can pull out of the bag and everything like that, but he just played the complete number 10, and it was it wasn't particularly pulling out huge party tricks and stuff like that, but he was threatening all the time and mixing it up, and that is you could see the Springboks were scared of it and just didn't really know what, and no side was. That's why he's such a great player and such a great asset, because you just never know exactly what he's going to do.
Look at that kick pass that he did quite early on when he came on. I was just like, fucking hell, you wouldn't see. Well, you might see Marcus Smith doing it, but you wouldn't see someone like, Owen Farrell doing it. Maybe he just
Well, they're the perfect, like Owen Farrell, Dan Bigger, perfectly capable, but they tend to play more within the systems and the coaching setup than Finn Russell. Obviously, he literally obviously he'll play what they do on the training ground, but if something changes on the field, there's no one better.
Heads up rugby.
Other than Marcus Smith, who heads up rugby, just playing what's in front of you, and it's just the difference of a 10 that plays flat and on the gain line than a 10 that sits back in the pocket and plays from there, because that's basically how the Lions had played throughout all the rest of the test series, and that's just playing even more so for the likes of South Africa with their unbelievable, and let's face it, it's probably the best international defence in the world. It's just playing into their hands, isn't it? But Finn Russell playing on the game line is the opposite. That is threatening even the best international defence in the world. So,
and the thing is, you could really see it in the game. They just didn't know what to do. They didn't know whether to, double tackle him or stick to him or, drop off a little bit or
come up quick, and then he does that kick over the top, like you say, kick pass straight out to Josh Adams, isn't it? So yeah.
He had two runners off him. He can go off his left. He could go off his right. He could go out the back door. They just didn't.
And that's the other difference. You say with the runners as well. I think when someone like Finn Russell comes on, all those guys just up their game. They're like, okay, this guy's they know him. They know he's going to play. So they want to run off him and take these balls and take the runs and everything, isn't it? Which, it just brings a whole level of new level of attacking threat, doesn't it? But so it's a tough one, isn't it? Because I think if Bigger hadn't gone off and it had just gone to the set game plan, as in Finn Russell probably not coming on till at least maybe the 60th minute, something like that, then I think it was going to be close, whatever. But I just think that the South African would have had more dominance than they had for the full 80. But because Finn Russell came on so early, they weren't allowed that dominance. And it took them until the second half to do what they've done all series on and off the field, but pulling all the tricks in the bag and the professionalism, gamesmanship, whatever you want to call it, to slow the game down, isn't it? Which is not a part of the game I'd like to see. But at the end of the day, that's down to the referees on the pitch and World Rugby to stop coaching setups and teams from doing those things, isn't it? So, players going down on their knee, injured or whatever, when they're not, and the rest of it, isn't it? But
for a South African team that's supposed to be tough as fuck, they did spend quite a lot of time on their arses, didn't they? And I think I don't know if you've heard. You have heard because we've talked about it. 26 minutes ball in play for the entire game.
Yeah, and I was massively surprised with that, in all honesty, because for me anyway, none of the tests have been particularly great, but this to me was by far the most enjoyable test of the three to watch as a spectator. Personally, anyway.
No, I don't.
And a lot of that was down to Finn Russell playing for 70 minutes of the game. But I don't like any of that sort of thing. But to be fair to the South Africans, have they, whether they've broken any rules is down to World Rugby to investigate. I know obviously that Rassie Erasmus is being investigated for his video, but at the end of the day, they won this series because they outsmarted the British Lions, and I mean as in Gatland, the coaching setup, the whole of the British Lions, they outsmarted, and that that's right from the dirty tactics on the field of slowing the game down in whatever way they could, guys going down injured when they're not, and the rest of it, and the female physio in the sideline area and shouting abuse at the British Lions players and all the rest of it. And
because the referee had a word with one of the medics that was on the field, didn't they?
Yeah. Was she medic physio? Yeah, and she was in the try line area when at one point when the British Lions were camped down on their try line just before, I think it was actually just before they scored. But But yeah, she was. It's just totally unacceptable. Not shouldn't be there, and also just you could see.
I think she was giving them instructions.
She was giving instructions to her side, but she was also shouting. You could tell she was being abusive to the British Lions players, which is it's just not shouldn't be part of the game. It's supposed to be professional sport, which means all of the backroom staff and coaching setup are supposed to be professionals as well, isn't it? So it's not football at the end of the day.
Well, just very quickly, the current South African coach, what's he called again? It's not Erasmus, it's Yanker? Niembar. He did that in the World Cup final against England, mate. Exactly same position in the over the try line, in the way.
Yeah, it's nothing new, is it? It's nothing new, but it needs.
No, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's my point. It's nothing new. So why the fuck hasn't it been sorted out?
Well, if at the end of the day, I don't actually know whether there's an out-and-out rule break there. I don't think there is, but it should be down to referees saying no, you shouldn't be there, out of the way, sort of thing. But whether it's a bit of a grey area, you've got to get rid of grey areas with things like this, because it is a professional sport, and all top coaches and coaching setups will be looking just for that. It's because it's all about small percentages, isn't it? As they always say, and it's just that extra edge. Any extra gain you can get on your opposition, and that's what that's why I say that the South African setup, Rassie Erasmus and his team have essentially won that series just from purely outsmarting Gatland and his team. That's my opinion on it. And that's with all the off-field crap that's gone on and the on-field stuff as well combined. But whether or not it's right or you agree with it, that it's happened and they've won the series. So they've done what it takes to win the series, isn't it? But it's ugly, isn't it? So
yeah,
it needs stamping out, in my opinion.
Yeah. So I mean, from our perspective, and I think it was Matt Dawson that I either read or heard him say, this Lions tour, there was no standout moment, like no Jerry Guscott kick, no 2001 O'Driscoll bursting through the centre, what's he called? Wales winger. George North picking up Izzy Folau and running backwards. There was no special moment, was there?
Well, I don't know. It's on the wrong side of the coin, but Colby's try in the third test was pretty outstanding. But,
yeah, okay. Well, we don't like.
But yeah, I know what you mean. From a British Lions perspective, there was, but they didn't play that style of rugby, so you're gonna have a lot less chance of getting those real standout moments. I think, especially outstanding tries. There was some fantastic tries in the warm-up games, wasn't there? But you can't really count them. As far as the test series, there wasn't anything that stood out, was there, like that?
No, absolutely. No.
But I think personally, the big argument, especially the way that third test panned out, is the tactical, the way that they decided to play the tactics against the South Africans, Gatland. Personally, I think they got it wrong, because try playing a tight, physical, take on the South Africans game basically in the first two tests, and managed to just pip the win in the first test, but that was solely because South Africa were that much more rusty and lacking in fitness. In reality, if we're honest, isn't it? That's what won that first test. And they got well and truly beaten in the second test, trying to play at that game. So and I know he made some changes, but in my view, they weren't enough. If you're gonna go for it, then you bring in your Finn Russell from the start or whatever, isn't it? But, and potentially a bit more attacking firepower outside as well, isn't it? Because it's all very well saying, well, we need to bring in the guys in the back three to counter the or to defend the Springbok kicking game, the aerial bombardment and that. But why not just play a game where you're assuming they ain't having the ball to do that, and you're running the ball at them? Do you know what I mean? So it's all tactical mindset stuff, but. Yeah, so what I'm getting to is I think if a different set of tactics, maybe with someone like going with the likes of Finn Russell from the beginning, would we have seen a different outcome in the test result? But We'll never know. We'll never know, sadly.
We won't know. No, we won't, unfortunately. Yeah, I think it would have been very interesting to have seen Finn Russell, more involved in the overall tour. But
yeah, I mean, obviously he went out with injury, isn't it? But
yeah,
which didn't help matters, obviously.
no,
But
absolutely. Okay, mate. Do you feel that we've chatted enough about the Lions and we need to put that bad boy to bed now?
yeah, I think so, mate. It's gutting, isn't it? It's gutting, but
Yeah, no, mate. It genuinely is, because I'm a massive Lions.
Coulda, woulda, shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Yeah, it's just one of them, innit? But fingers crossed, we'll be back next 4 years in Australia. Not us personally, obviously, unless we're very lucky. And we get a call up from the head coach. Let's look ahead.
We could go out as the Barmy Army, mate. The Lions supporters, maybe.
Oh my God, imagine it.
Let's relive. What would it be? 24 years since 2001.
Yeah, it would be.
Crikey.
Jesus.
Oh, that's aging us, isn't it?
Yeah.
We'll keep that quiet. Keep that quiet.
Work that one out. How old are we? Drop us a message on Instagram and Twitter. Let's just look ahead to next season. So obviously, as I said at the start, this is the final episode of this season. We will be back for the Gallagher Premiership. Interesting fact, I just want to very, very quickly just touch on something before we wrap things up. Fantasy rugby is going to be really interesting at the start of the season, don't you think?
Is it?
Well, if you think about it, obviously what's the competition now between the what is it now? Southern Hemisphere teams. What's it called?
Rugby Championship.
Yeah.
The Rugby Championship.
Yeah. So there's no all those boys are going to be playing on for another 3 or 4 weeks now.
Okay, yeah. So they're not available.
They're not going to be available at the start of the season. I'm assuming now the Lions players will have 5 weeks off, because that's the standard statutory requirement.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think you're right.
So a lot of these guys that we've relied on for our fantasy rugby aren't going to be around.
Yeah, probably, mate. Probably. I don't know how much at the beginning of the season that will impact. In all honesty, I haven't looked at it yet, mate. But
mate, I need to fucking get back in.
Yeah, you're the one that needs to put the hours in, mate.
I'm putting the hours in now to get ahead of the game for when it comes back. No,
but yeah, there will be. You're right. I think the Lions guys, or certainly the ones who obviously that played the most rugby on the Lions, will have to be rested. And yeah, and there is, I suppose, mostly South Africans, isn't it, contingent in the Premiership. They'll have to be rested at the end of the Rugby Championship as well. But actually thinking about it, is there that many? There's a few from Sale, obviously, isn't there? Faf de Klerk. Any other Dupree brothers?
No, I think they're back here now. But you've got old the Harlequins prop, Wilhelm Lowe. Is it Wilhelm Lowe?
I don't know. It's Lowe, isn't it? I'm not sure.
Definitely, it's Lowe. So he's been called up to South Africa. Jasper Weiss, obviously, from Tigers. That's about it, isn't it? Faf is obviously injured, but I'd imagine he plays some part at some point.
Yeah, so Van Rensburg, is he?
He was in the squad, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. I'm not sure if he's still in. Anyway, yeah, there's probably Sale will be most affected, but
yeah.
But yeah, I suppose it could be interesting, mate. There's going to be a few not available probably for first few weeks. And then it'll be Six Nations, won't it?
Then it'll be Six Nations. It'll be back to normal. Ollie will be ahead on the fantasy rugby, and I'll be moaning each week that you're winning.
Standard practice, mate.
Right.
Looking forward to it. So yeah, sum up of the season, Gareth.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry. That's what I wanted to wrap up. That is what's your highlights of the season? So obviously including everything: Six Nations, Lions, Gallagher Premiership. I guess you just saying Bath winning now and again was quite nice.
Here we go.
Well, we've not had it for a few weeks, have we?
Yeah, in all honesty, it's quite nice to have a break from you. I'm going to enjoy the next few weeks with your Leicester rubbish and anti-Bath and anti-Exeter Chiefs a little bit as well, aren't you? Yeah, but
Pure blood.
Strangely. But anyway, no. Sum up of the season, Gareth. It's been a bit of a hash, really, isn't it, with COVID again? Fact, massively impacted, unfortunately, by COVID. So that's had an impact on obviously the roll in from the last season, late start, early start of this one, or whatever, roll in back to back, and it's affected some more than others. I think Chiefs, as a club, were most affected by that. I actually think if COVID wasn't here and we've just had two normal back-to-back seasons, then I think they would have won the Premiership again this season. Yeah, I just think that played the way it all went down with internationals being away and a lot of it that played as it ended up with them and Harlequins being in the final. It hurt Chiefs a lot more than it hurt Quins, because sort of their international caliber guys aren't in the mix on the whole anymore, were they? But they will be next season by the looks of it. But yeah, so yeah, a bit of a weird one. But highlights, obviously, I think like most people, is Harlequins.
Yes, the mighty Quinn.
Yeah, just brilliant, especially towards the end. You know, the run into the end of the season. It was just that semi-final against Bristol was just unbelievable, wasn't it? Unbelievable. And a cracking final as well. That was the beauty, and just some really attractive, great to watch from a spectator point of view, rugby in the Premiership, which long may that continue. I really do hope the game continues in that way, and we see a lot less of what we've just witnessed in the Lions South Africa Test series, with the way, in particular, the South Africans play. But because overall, I don't want to speak for everyone, but I think most people want to see a bit of rugby played rather than some of the dull stuff we witnessed, isn't it, in the Test series? But
yeah, definitely.
So great. Harlequins were definitely the highlight of the season for me. Marcus Smith, if you're going to name names, being the standout individual. Do
you want to know what one of my highlights were?
Not if it's anything to do with Tigers. I'm going to be honest. Mate. No, go on. I'm joking.
No, well, it is to do with the fact that the Leicester Tigers are.
Of course it is. Of course.
Moving up the table, the foundations, the DNA is coming through Borthwick next season. Top 4, mate.
Mate, it's nothing to do with DNA and Tigers of past. That is gone and done. Just enjoy it and appreciate what it was. Borthwick is creating the new Leicester Tigers, mate. That's the way you should look about it. It's very well, to try and bring in some of the old beliefs and traditions and attributes that the successful era of Tigers had. But the game's changed. It's moved on. So the club needs to as well. I think that, to be honest, that's where, in my view, that Tigers have stuttered over the last several seasons with appointments and coaching is partly because I think they've rested on their laurels a little bit with the success they had.
You're breaking up, mate.
Yeah. You know it's true.
No, I know.
But that's to do with the guys at the top of the club, isn't it? So
no, I agree, mate. I do agree with that one. It's just nice. It's genuinely nice to see it's a bit like seeing a French team that's firing, a Leicester Tigers team that's putting it about a bit, mixing it up a bit. And hopefully, you never know, with old Danny Cipriani at the helm, you might see a resurgent Bath team.
We shall see. But yeah, it's we'll review it in the pre-season episode, mate. But I mean, in reality, as it stands right now, there's got to be at least six or seven sides who are you would say have got a genuine chance of having a shot at the title. You might, depending how form goes with clubs like Bath, you could include more into that. So it's going to be a cracking season.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, mate. All right, buddy. Listen.
No relegation.
And no relegation. Is it 13 teams? Oh, it's 13 teams as well, isn't it?
Yeah, first season of 13, no relegation.
So 1 week there's going to be a bye. So I wonder how that's going to fit in with the fantasy rugby.
Yeah, true.
Anyway,
we'll
leave it there. Thank you very much, as ever, mate. It's always a pleasure to have a nice chat to you. You do bring a lot to this podcast.
Thank you very much, mate. Thank you very much. Well, I've enjoyed it, mate. It's been a good first season for us, and looking forward to the next one. Get your pre-season training in soon. When does that start?
Me?
Yeah.
Never.
For the pod, I mean, for the pod.
Oh, pod, mate. Yeah, I'm working on my larynx. You know.
You never did real pre-season training, eh?
No, not if I could. No, I hated training. Give me a ball. I'll run at people. All right, buddy. Listen, I'll let you get on, and we'll catch up again soon.
Cool. Okay, mate. Good to speak.
No worries, buddy. Take care.
See you next season.
See you later, mate. Next season. Woo, Tigers.
Cheers, mate. Bye.
Bye. So that brings the final episode of the season to a conclusion. Thank you once again for taking time to listen and download into just a couple of mates who like rugby and talk pretty much crap most of the time. We will be back, like I said, for season 2, closer to the start of the Gallagher Premiership. So join us for that. We'll put up little hints and feeds, etc. on Instagram or on Twitter. So if you want to go over there, give us a follow. It's at Top2InchesRP. We're available on all major platforms such as Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcast and YouTube. I don't actually think there's anything else to say other than we will be back for season 2. See you then.